Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you've had a good stay-at-home weekend and were able to still get out of the weather, but social isolate like we need to be doing right now. So here's some ideas for you this week. So 5Q breakdown. In this week's tape breakdown, we look at a huge, easy-to-fix mistake with the non-financial and how to use either question to get people to answer the question any we want 100% of the time. So, and then, guys, I know that right now a lot of people are really humping to place the business that they can while there's still time to do that before things slow down a little bit or rates change, etc. But after we get through that, we got to get back to those 15-minute drills, okay? And that's what this is what the tape breakdown will help with. So I want to talk about something that happens to all of us. Someone told me I was delusional and I almost fell off my unicorn. Now, what do I mean by that? All of us are delusional, and here's some examples of that. 93% of us think we're above average drivers. Can 93% of us be above average drivers? No, we can't. Now, I'm one of the 7%. I know I'm a below average driver. I can't wait for self-driving cars. But 93% of us think we're above average drivers. Here's another example. A study says 74% of managers think they are above average. That means 36% of managers aren't aware that they are above average too. The way I look at it, you're all in the top 110%. Exactly. So we all think we're smarter than we are. We all think we're in control. You know, coronavirus confirmed in my community. I ate 3 vitamin gummies, so I am in control. I'm now protected. We think we're special. And what happens when we think we're special, we start believing other people can be special too. That is money managers. So in the book, The Wisdom of Crowds by James Surowiecki, he talks about this. So the reason I read this is because Malcolm Gladwell actually promoted it. So here's the problem. In the book, he talks about money managers have to do 2 things. Number 1, they have to invest wisely. Duh, right? But number 2, they have to convince other people or the people who are going to invest they're investing wisely. So why do they need to do this, guys? Why do they need to convince other people they're investing wisely? Yeah, to get business. If they don't do this, they won't get business, right? Right, David? So investors don't know, though. Here's the problem. Do investors know how to analyze whether their manager is investing wisely or not? Are clients equipped to analyze whether the money manager is investing wisely or not? No, they're not. So could a money manager invest wisely and it still backfire on them? There was an example in a book I'm reading on how to bet on life, and it was written by a poker player, one of the poker, all-stars or whatever that, makes millions of dollars playing poker. But it was not about poker, but it was about how we should live life. And one of the things that they brought up was this, is that, and I can't remember, I'm not a huge pro football fan, but they were bringing up, does anybody remember the Super Bowl game where it came down to the last few seconds and the team threw a pass and it was intercepted and they got caught so much heck for, and maybe Jeff knows if you do, Jeff can get in there, but they threw a pass and then they caught so much flack for throwing a pass instead of running the ball because it was intercepted. And the point that the book made was this: was that Patriots versus Seattle, Atlanta versus Patriots? We're getting different answers here, but the point was this: on hindsight, that looked what? That looked stupid, dumb. But if you played the odds, it was actually a fantastic decision. Why? Because if there was an incomplete pass, is a running play or a passing play a quicker play? Running play or a passing play a quicker play? A passing play, because if it's incomplete, boom, they stop the ball, stops the clock, right? So the reason the coach did that is that the chance of an interception was only 2%. The chance of interception was only 2%. And by passing, they'd be able to do 2 or 3 plays to get it into the end zone to win the game. If they ran the ball, it could be that that would run out the clock. So it was a wise thing to do. But because it failed, everybody thought it was what? Bad. So you have to analyze, because do all good decisions end up in good results? No, they don't. But here's the problem. Here's the problem. Can bad decisions end up in good results just because you were frigging lucky that day? And as human beings, though, guess what we think about that bad decision that ends up with a good result? Oh, that's what I should do going forward, right? It's brilliant, right? Right, Daniel. Brilliant, right? So we have to be careful about how we analyze what we do. We should be looking at the process and the odds of that process working, not at the result. We cannot analyze the intelligence of a decision based on the result of it, because sometimes bad decisions end up in good results. And sometimes good decisions end up in bad results. But if we want to play the odds, we want to do something that's going to be a good decision regardless of the result. Does that make sense? Now, the reason I bring that up is because with that's a whole different book, but it applies to this, because are there times when good investment decisions look stupid? Yeah. And are there times when stupid investment decisions look good? Yes. So what money managers do is this. Do they want to put their neck on the line? Do most money managers want to put their neck on the line? No. So what they do is they hide with everybody else. And in fact, when they've looked at money managers, how many money managers' portfolios look extremely similar to the S&P 500? Most of them. And why do they do that, guys? Safety in numbers. See, it's much safer for a manager to follow a strategy that seems rational, rather than to follow a strategy that is rational. Because if you follow the herd and the herd is wrong, you can just point your finger and say, what? Yeah, but I mean, we went down, but everybody else went down. But if you stick your neck out on the line and think, well, everybody else is doing wrong, I'm going to do the smart thing here, then what do your investors start to think? This is a great example of it. Anybody has not watched The Big Short, you have to watch The Big Short. As a financial advisor, you need to understand it's a very entertaining film, but it's also a very, very educational film. One of the things happened here is that everybody remember this guy? He was the guy that was on the spectrum, or probably had a light. What do they call it? Yeah, he's on the spectrum, but he was on, what do you call it when you're not? Shoot. You know, when you're just mildly autistic, what do they call that? Asperger's syndrome. So he has Asperger's syndrome, but so he's not very good at communicating to people, but he's brilliant, and he's still brilliant today. In fact, he's saying he doesn't think anybody should be in the market right now. He's not in the market. He's betting against the market still. But when he was doing that, he crunched the math, and he saw that mortgages should be folding, and they didn't fold for months. For like 7 months, he said the numbers can't work. There's no money here. There's no money here. What was happening behind the scenes? Because he was right, there was no money there, but what was happening behind the scenes? The banks kept hiding the fact that there was no money there and pumping in more money to hide it. But eventually that failed. So, but he was wrong. Even though he was making a very smart, intelligent decision away from the herd, what did all of his investors want to do? He was taking phone calls every single day from investors saying, what? You're wrong. Let's pull the money out. You're wrong. Let's pull the money out. You're wrong. Let's pull the money out. That's right, Mike. You're wrong. Let's pull the money out. Instead, he said, what? No, these are the numbers. The numbers can't lie. They can be hidden for a period of time, but eventually, can you hide huge discrepancies like that in money forever? So he was sticking his neck way out there. Everybody else was saying, no, these mortgages are fine. These are fine. These are fine. In fact, Lehman Brothers, was actually recommended as a buy the day before it went bankrupt, right? So many different investment analysts were saying Lehman Brothers were a buy. You got to buy them now. This is a depressed stock. Get in now. The day before it went bankrupt. So, but the reason this guy was able to withstand that is probably because that he had Asperger's, and did he really care what other people thought of him? Or was he on a mission and said, with laser-like focus, said, you know what, this is the right thing. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to do the right thing. I mean, the numbers don't lie. He wouldn't fold, and he ended up being right, making a ton of money for his investors. So after interviewing dozens, this is from a different book, Minding the Markets. After interviewing dozens of large money managers, only a tiny handful were willing to execute long-term strategies they knew would be successful. Only a tiny handful were willing to execute long-term strategies they knew would be successful. So before I click the slide here, what did they do instead? Only a tiny handful were willing to execute long-term strategies they knew would be successful. That's right, they followed her. Instead, they stayed near their benchmark in order to keep their jobs. And see, why does that happen? Why does that happen? Do you remember about a year or two ago, I did a actual call on this, that when analysts have looked at soccer matches, when there's a penalty kick, it's they set the ball out there, I don't know how many yards out in front of, and it's just that one penalty kicker against the goalie. And do you remember what they said? What should the goalie do? If the goalie wants the highest percentage chance of stopping that ball, what should he do? David remembers, yep. You'd think it'd be one-third, Mike, but it's not. Tom's got it too. Yeah, they should stay right where they're at. In fact, an analysis of 286 penalty kicks taken in elite matches around the world showed that keepers saved 33% of their penalties when they stayed in the center, compared to just 12% when they jumped right and 14% when they jumped left. So you were twice as likely if you stayed right in the middle to stop the ball than if you moved right or left. Twice as likely. Guys, in sports, being successful twice as many times, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So then, but guess what percentage of goalies will stand in the middle? That's the sad thing. Guess what percentage of goalies stand in the middle? Almost none, right? Almost none. Why? Why do they, even though the goalies, they know this, why do they move? Why do they jump left or right? Because if they stood still, the activity beats inactivity. Perfectly said, David. If they don't do it, that's right, Nick. If they do nothing, if they just stand there and do nothing, and then they do kick it to the left or the right, and they're not able to save it, based on how fans treat soccer players when they don't do well, what would happen to them? So the reason they do something that's twice as ineffective, 2 times as ineffective, two times as horrible to do, they still do it because if they did nothing, the fans would get angry at them, right? And it's the same thing with money managers. If they did what they were trained to do, at some point the strategy, like all strategies, will seriously underperform the market averages, causing investors to move money. Just like with the Big Short, all of his investors, he was doing the right thing, all of his investors want to move the money. And when money manager loses their job, therefore, it's in their best interest to do what? Stay with the herd. And that's why basically 99% of all money managers, if you look at how they've done compared to the S&P, where do those lines lie? When you look at a mountain chart, comparing money manager to the S&P, where do those lines, do they look vastly different, or they're basically right on, they look identical, and they're usually slightly below? Yeah. So does that make sense? So looking for somebody, that's why when somebody tells me they've got a fantastic money manager, I laugh. Because if they were really that great a money manager, how much money would they be managing? If they really had an algorithm that beat all the other money managers, how much money would they be managing? Yeah, all of it. That's right, Tom, all of it. You guys are brilliant. John, glad, Dale, yeah, all of it. So we know they're not. So I just want to remind you again, different subject here, is remember, you still got 3 tools to get in front of people right now. One is that little 12-minute video that I did that you can get it out to people. that you can send it to every client, their friends, neighbors, relatives, put it in the neighborhood blogs, every newspaper, community, city, specialty newspaper, every TV and radio station, send it out to them. Approach senior centers, churches, education centers, libraries, community record stations, VFWs, fraternal organizations. All those people, approach them. So that's one thing to do. Now, remember last week you talked about Alex, and he had that one little saying, which is, how would you like to get 5 years of bond yield in 1 year? Jerry said that there's about, I don't know, he told me about 3 other guys at least that had even better success last week doing the exact same thing. So if you have not done this and want to know how to do it, reach out to Jerry. This is having a huge success right now. Make sure you're doing that. And then the last thing we talked about was that you can also be talking to people about that one way to increase your income by 25 to 100% with less chance of running out of money. 25 to 100% with less chance of running out of money. And do they even need to move their investments to do that, guys? Can they stay in the exact same investments they're in now and increase their income by 25 to 100% chance with less chance of running out of money? Yep, that's exactly right. So if you don't understand that, guys, go here and read that. Read that. Now, guess what? If they move their money, guess what happens to their chance of running out of money? Goes up even further. So we can enhance this even further. So that's another thing you could be talking about, people. And then Matt, I think, called most of you or reached out to most of you last week about that there's a new way to market right now with the way things are. And there was actually a seminar on that last week. He said that a dozen or so of you guys were on it, but that means a lot of people weren't on it. And please, 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 if you're looking to market, maybe not now, you should be doing those 3 things we just talked about, which is reach out to your clients about bonds, getting their bonds all over, and your prospects. Make sure you're getting that video out to everybody to get that out to, and then also talking to people about increasing their income with less chance of running out of money. But then you should also be looking at this marketing that looks like of all the ways that are be talking about marketing right now, because there's a lot of people out there talking about digital marketing right now and webinar marketing. This is by far the thing, and I really trust Missy. She's looked at everything out there, and I keep my eye on everything out there, and this is really the way to go if you're thinking about doing that. So if you're thinking about marketing in the next month or 2 months or 3 months, reach out to Matt, and he can set you up or with more information on how that works. Does that all make sense to everybody? Super. So now we're going to kind of get in the meat. Let's get back into a little bit of what we need to keep our skills sharp, and let's talk this week about diversification. Diversification. Why is diversification so important, guys? Are there times when stocks and bonds go down at the same time? Yes. So this is total bond index. I mean, look at all the different things that were in here, and what did they all do? Went down. So we need to make sure that our clients are diversified. You know, we talk about it. We don't put all of our eggs in one basket, right? So what if I put my eggs in 2 different baskets and then put them both in the back of the pickup truck, and then the pickup truck hits a pothole? Did it really matter whether I had my eggs in 2 different baskets? No, because what's going to happen to all the eggs? They're all broken, right? So instead, we want to make sure that we have at least one basket that is sitting in my lap, so when I see the pothole coming up, I can lift it up so that it doesn't jarred by the pothole. Because even if you think about it, the diversification, do we want something that's perfectly diversified, or perfectly, or what do I want to say? Do I want something that is half my portfolio in a positive one and half my portfolio in a negative one for correlation? No, because that means I've always, sometimes something's going up, sometimes something going down. So instead, I want something that goes up, goes up, goes up, and then when it goes down, I've got a portfolio that does what? Nothing. At least it never goes down. And what is that basket that you hold up every time there's a pothole? What is that basket? An FIA, that's right, FIAs are. So let's listen to this advisor as he goes through the diversification part of the script. So this is the actual, here's your bullet, your bullets for the correlation script. Is diversification good or bad? You have how many investments? Is that good or bad? Correlations fancy, blah, blah, blah. So these are the correlates. So let's listen to him, the advisor, with the client as they go through it. And let's see how many of these bullets he hits, okay? So here we go. And this is actually he's going to start a little bit before diversification. He's going to end up, because I want to also make a point here about, we're looking at, we're going to hear the end of the risk reward script as well. So here we go.
Here, right, on this line, and it will be getting a return somewhere over here.
Oh, it's way down.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking about the line on the risk-reward curve, because I want you to hear the end of the risk-reward before we go into diversification.
Yeah, and then these other two on here. So again, if we're paying fund managers to manage those funds, do we want them to do better than the ones we can get for almost nothing, or?
Right.
And where are they right now?
They're down.
They're down, yeah. And again, like I say, this is an average of the last 3 years. So has anybody shown you this in the last 3 years? So, would it have been helpful to have seen that?
Probably.
Well, why? What could you have done? What would you wanted to do if you would have done that?
Well, you could ask to change it to something else.
Yeah.
It's doing better.
Maybe to get up on the line, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's the risk and reward in there. And then the last thing is diversification.
Guys, did he get what he needed at risk reward? Nope. All he said is, hey, if your funds are not higher than that, you can do what? Move them. And guys, who could they move? Who could she move them with? All she understood by that little saying is what? With what he did there, all she was clear on was what? Is that her funds were not what? Currently performing, that she should change her funds, right? Was there any motive there for the guy doing this? If there's no motive, what's going to happen? They're going to move their investments. They are going to move their investments. She is going to move her investments. Who is she going to move them with? The current guy. She's going to say, you know what, I was looking at this curve, it looks like we're taking a lot more risk than the reward we're getting, and I think we need to pay more attention to that, because I could and he's going to say what? Oh, you're right. Let's go ahead. You know what? Yep, we should move that. And she's going to go, well, why didn't you do that in the first place? Because, you know, he's going to give a good explanation, and he's going to say, it crossed my heart, hope to die, sneak a needle in my eye, I'll never do this again. And she'll say, okay, but let's keep a closer eye. I'm going to let you go this time, but let's keep a closer eye and make it sure. And then, boom, where's she keeping the money? The current guy. Dudes, the whole purpose of these scripts is what? At the end of every script, what word has to be at the end of every script? What word does the client have to be in everything a client says at the end of every script? There's a word that has to be, so Dale's, let's see, somebody's got it. Dan's got it. Not bad, not bad. Glad's got it. Good job, Glad. Because she said what? She said her investments are bad. So what? Did that get him anything? She admitted her investments are bad. Did that get him anything? No. Glad's got it, yep. Yes, the word advisor has to be in every script, at the end of every script. My advisor did this on purpose. My advisor did this on purpose. My advisor didn't want me to see this, because if I had, I would have made different investments, and he would have, what? Made less money. So that's why he didn't show this to me. My advisor, was that in the end of the script? It was not. So he didn't get anything here. Now let's listen to see if he can't redeem himself with the diversification. So I'm going to let this play all the way through, and I want you to check off as you're looking at the screen here. Is he hitting all of these bullets? Okay, so here we go.
So diversification, does that sound like a good thing or a bad thing to be diversified?
A good thing.
It is a good thing, matter of fact. It's in fact, it's so good that we have as a society, we have sayings about eggs in baskets. How does that go?
You don't put all your eggs in one basket.
That's right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Because what do we not want to happen to all the eggs at one time?
To lose everything.
That's right. That's right. And so when it comes to investments, same thing. If we're diversified, we don't want, what do we not want to happen to all of them at the same time?
Lose.
Yeah, we don't want them to all lose at the same time. So when we talk about diversification, we use a term called correlation. And it just measures how one thing reacts to another.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have two things, and when one of them goes up, the other one goes up, and one goes down, the other one goes down, those would be perfectly correlated. So they would have a correlation of 1 to 1. So if something is 1 to 1, that means they're opposites or they're exactly alike.
They're alike.
Yeah, they're exactly alike. So if I have something where one thing goes up and the other one goes down,
The one that goes up, one goes down, is more of a balance.
yeah, that's right. And that would be a negative one.
Mm-hmm.
So those things would be more diversified, right?
Right.
But if two things act the same, are they diversified or they're the same? And so what we use...
Good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad, that's right. They're going to go up together and down together. And so we use I don't know if y'all remember those old maps where if you wanted to see how far it was from one city to another city, you would go down here and across there and see how... That's kind of what we use for diversification. And it shows how one investment correlates to another one. It's a little chart like that. And if things are dark blue, that means they're very highly correlated. And if they're very highly correlated, that means they're
good.
Yeah, they're the same or they're different?
They're the same.
Yeah, they're the same. That's right. And so this is the diversification matrix, the correlation matrix for your funds. And so if we set a positive 1 or something that are exactly like if they're 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the correlation on all these? It's pretty small print. Can you see those numbers in there?
That's 0.881.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the third one is 0.80.
That's right. That's right. So that shows how fund number 1 correlates to number 2, and how 1 and 3 correlate, and then 2 and 3. And so all of these are dark blue, which means they're pretty close to 1, right?
Right. Very close.
So that means that they're different or they're pretty much just alike.
That's pretty much alike.
Yeah. And so if they're all pretty much alike, I mean, even though you have 3 funds, I mean, you think you're diversified with 3 different funds, right?
But you're not.
But you're not, because they're all the same. So you actually, if you had 1, you might do the same thing with 1.
Uh-huh.
Even though you guys know you need to be diversified, you know it's a good thing. But when we look at that,
it's not.
It's not. And has anybody went over diversification with you and looked at where you're at there?
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, you know, it kind of reminds me of, have you all ever heard of Smart House? If somebody builds a house and they have everything connected to their phone where they can turn their air on and off or lock the doors or do all those kinds of things, they call it a smart house. I don't have one, but this, hello?
Are you Ryan?
Oh, I'll be out in a minute, or if you've got something you can leave this, that's fine. Thanks. I don't have one, but let's just pretend I had one. And when they put it in, the guy putting it in tells me hey, this, we've got all this connected to your phone, and if anything ever goes wrong, it's going to be complicated, and you're not going to be able to fix it. So we have this service plan. If you pay us $100 a month, if anything ever goes wrong, you call us up, we'll come fix it. Well, I'm not very technical, so I'm thinking I better do that because I'm going to be in trouble with Superbase, right? And then I read in Consumer Reports later where it says, hey, if you have a smart house, don't get the service plan because all they're going to do is come out and flip a switch in the garage. There's a master switch. They just flip it on and off and it resets everything.
Oh, boy.
And I'm thinking, well, I don't know, though, but...
Well, is this going to really happen?
Yeah. And then a couple months later, it goes out.
How do you do that with a computer or phone?
Yeah, exactly. You gotta reboot it so that so just a couple months it all goes haywire. And I call the guy and they come out and I wait to see what they're gonna do and they go to the garage and they flip the switch. Now why did that guy tell me it was gonna be so much trouble and be so complicated and that I needed them?
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
So they could charge you $100.
So I could pay them.
Because they have something in the circuits that they have set to go down every so often.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to having several different funds that are all doing the same thing, why do you think, instead of just, if you just had one, it would be the same, right?
Right.
Why do you think you have several instead of just one?
Because you have different fees on each one.
Yeah, if you just had one, would you need somebody to look after it, or could you look after one?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. So that's correlation. So nobody went over that. So you do. That's everything pretty much. Let's just do a quick recap.
So did he get what he wanted there, guys? Why, so what was the problem? What is the problem with diversification is? Does she understand that she's not diversified? Yep, she understands it. She absolutely understands that she's not diversified. But so what can she, who can get her diversified, guys? Oh, yeah, Mike says, let's talk about this. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike. Mike said, it was good until then. Yeah, because was he asking great questions, guys? Yeah, he was asking great questions. Was he getting on her side and giving her little verbal pats on the back? Yeah, he was agreeing. He was empowering. He was parroting. He was doing all of that. But all of that stuff done well, if at the end you don't get them to say their advisor did this on purpose to screw you and make him more money, does it matter? Yeah, that's right. Running out 90 yards of a 100-yard dash ain't going to get you anywhere, right? You don't win. Have you all seen, have you ever seen those funny videos where like the bike rider or the skier is almost to the finish line, he's already celebrating and he's, waving his arms up in the air and then the bike crashes and then people just fly right by him and win? Isn't that kind of what's happening here? This guy is winning the race. He's winning the race, and then when he's within sight of the goal line, he's what? Wimping out. And can we get Jeff in? I know that we're all working remotely. I don't know if it's easy for Jeff to get in or not. Missy, can Jeff get in or not?
Yep, let me get
Can you
it.
guys hear me?
There we go.
Oh, super, yeah.
Can you hear me?
So Jeff, yeah, perfectly. You sound great. So what happened? I mean, why is it, and you do a lot of the coaching on this as well, is that, guys are afraid of the motive part of the script. They're awesome. They're awesome all the way up to where they get the client to say, he did this on purpose. And I mean, do you see that or hear that in tapes?
Yeah, I hear it a lot. I think it's a couple things. One, I think people are afraid to ask the question or to go all the way because they don't lay the groundwork. And so they feel like I haven't earned the right to ask that question because I haven't laid the groundwork. So that's one problem. The other problem I think that happens a lot of times too is I think most people on the call think it's okay as long as it's implied. I mean, it's definitely implied there that he did a bad job, but I guess what guys don't understand, it's not enough that it's implied. It has to be, I have to hear it on the tape when they send it in. Because I hear people tell me, well, they were nodding their head, they got it. And I believe you. They were nodding their head and they did get it, but it was implied.
And Jeff, when I know you're a church-going guy, so when you're at church, do they just when the pastor wants you to say prayers, does nobody say it, but they just nod at the pastor? Or what does he want you to do?
No, he wants everybody to say it out loud.
Why? I mean, it was the same prayer you've been doing, or the same song you've been singing for 45 years. So why does he want you to do it again?
Because when you do it out loud, you internalize it. It means something to you, something more than if you just think it in your head.
And Jeff, when they're nodding or they're saying, yeah, does that mean that they're agreeing with you?
It could mean that they're agreeing with you, but again, it's passive. It's not the same as saying it out loud. And we always use the analogy that, when I was in math class and they did the problem on the board and he asked the class if we understood it, we all said we did. And we weren't lying. I did understand it. It's just that when I went home, I realized, oh, geez, seeing someone do it on the board is different than doing it yourself. I can't do these problems.
And you're smarter than me, Jeff, because usually it didn't take me till I went home. Next hour was my study hall, and I looked at it and still didn't. So it didn't even take till I got home that night. It was within an hour, and I would forget it.
And I always tell people, I wasn't lying. I knew he was going to assign problems. I knew I was going to have to do them. I knew I was going to have to turn them in. I knew I was going to get graded on it. So when I said, yeah, I get it, I really thought I got it. But I didn't. I wasn't just saying that to appease him. I really thought, okay, I get this. But I didn't. And yeah, I think they understand what you're saying, but they're not really getting it. Not unless they say it.
And that's if you're lucky, guys. Because they could be nodding their head thinking, yeah, I get it. I get what you're trying to make me say my guy's bad. I'm not going to do it. Or they could be saying, nodding yes, because they're like, I don't really know what this – they're still 5 minutes behind you trying to remember or think about what is correlation again, and not even understanding what what you've said for the last 5 minutes and nodding their head. It could mean that they have been daydreaming. It could be they don't understand. There's all sorts of things it could mean. But even as Jeff points out, if they do agree with you, what's that worth, guys? A nod of the head and a yeah. What's it worth? Zero. Zippo. And guys, are we telling them their guy is bad? No, if you tell them their guy is bad, you're doing something wrong. You're right. You're right. If we tell them their guy's bad, see, I can call my wife ugly. You call her ugly. We got a problem. I can call my advisor a thief. You call him a thief. We got a problem. So if you're worried about being mean to the other advisor, you're not. You're not going to be mean, or you're doing something wrong. And so I think what Jeff's point was right on spot on with it. It's implied. You're implying that the guy is screwing them. Did this advisor imply? And Jeff, do you think that this advisor implied to the client, both with the risk reward and with the diversification, that the guy was screwing them? Did he imply that?
Yeah, I think he implied that.
I do too. But do we have any indication whether the client felt that or not? Well,
No.
David said if they don't say it, it didn't happen. That's my whole viewpoint in life with this. When it comes to, I don't care what. When I'm having a discussion where I want to change somebody's mind or have them, if they don't say it, guess what? It did not happen. So he did a really good job of asking open-ended questions. He did a really good job of gossing them, with giving them verbal pats on the back. But when it came to all of that work he did up front, if you don't finish the finish line, guess what? Right out the window. So we got to look, when we're looking for the moral of the story at the end of the goals, the things they need to say, these first three are just to set the table. But after that, and look at advisor. Advisor. Any advisor doesn't look at those things as a bad advisor. If I don't look at things as a bad advisor, then titling. My advisor, and this time my company, had me sign the wrong form on purpose so they could make money when I'm dead and want to do the same thing to the kids. Beneficiaries, all my advisor cares about is making money. My family and their concerns are an afterthought. My advisor has me investments where I receive less from but pay more for, and he never showed me these things because I would have paid less and he would have he's showing me things where he's making more money. Interest rate volatility. My advisor has me in bonds that aren't really safe, and then he charges me higher fees for that. He did not show me these things that would have been truly safe, and I would have paid less for, so he could make more money. My advisor has me in too much risk. My advisor has me with managers. My advisor has been telling me to buy and hold. At the same time, he's got me in funds that are buying and selling like crazy. My advisor has me in things with higher risk that I pay more for. My advisor I'm not diversified at all. My advisor has me in things that make things look complicated so you can be forced to stay with them. So guys, what's the word you're looking for at the end of every script? If they don't say their advisor, what have you got? Everybody answer this. If they don't say my advisor, that Bupka is exactly right. So Jeff, what's the problem with us saying my advisor with every third script?
I don't think there's any problem with saying my advisor. I mean, that's exactly what you want.
No, every third script. No. If they only get them to say, yeah, my advisor did this on purpose on every third item.
Yeah, the problem is if you don't do it on every item, it just sounds like, yeah, he's doing most things right and a few things wrong, but I can fix that. I can talk to him and get him to just adjust the things that if he's only making a mistake or two or three, that's fine. I can talk to him as long as he's doing most everything right, which is the problem with only doing it every third script. It looks like he's doing most everything right.
That's exactly right. And we talk about this as building a house of cards. If every third story of your house of cards is built shabbily, what's going to happen at your 21st floor? Are you ever going to make it to the 21st floor? So how many of those how many floors have to be spot on? All of them. Now remember, if I get back up here, the first three, we don't bring up the advisor at all, right? This is the things where we're setting the table very quickly and easily, letting them know he's not doing all the things he could be doing. I will never leave my advisor for not doing his survivor's guide. I'm never going to leave him for not doing the will of trust. That's the attorney's fault job. I'm never going to leave my advisor. But I start to think, well, he could be doing things better. It's the big toe. But then after that, we say any advisor looks at doesn't do these things, a bad advisor. Am I mentioning him there? Am I mentioning the advisor there? No, I'm having them connect the dots where they say, yeah, any advisor doesn't do these things is a bad advisor. Any advisor doesn't do these things is a bad advisor. Wait a minute, you're not my advisor. Wait a minute, my advisor's not doing these things. My advisor's a bad advisor. We have that dawn on them by connecting the dots. Then we get into having them point the finger at the company. Then we get them into having them point the finger at the guy. And after that, it's the guy, 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 the guy. It has to be all of those things. Does that make sense? Super. Well, that's what we wanted to cover. Thanks for the help, Jeff. So that's what we wanted to cover this week. Does that help you remind you on what the important part of the scripts are? So for marketing, those three things that you can do with your clients, your prospects, your warm list, get out there with the video, get out there with the 25 to 100% higher return or income with less risk, and get out there with the great little bond phrase that Alex has done so well. Call Jerry about that phrase if you want to know how to use that. We've got guys that are making all sorts of money based with just that phrase. And then for those of you looking forward to a month or 2 months out, make sure you reach out to Matt about how to get in front of people in the digital world, since we don't know how long this stay in place is going to be. So you guys have a fantastic rest of the week. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.